The Forgotten Memory Restaurant. Tucked away in a quiet alley in the heart of the city, there was a restaurant that few people knew about. There were no advertisements, no reviews, no social media presence. And yet, those who had dined there whispered a strange rumor. If you eat there, you can recover a lost memory for 1 hour. It sounded like a gimmick, something out of a bad sci-fi movie. But that night, for reasons I couldn't explain, I felt an irresistible pull toward it. I had no specific memory I wanted to recover, or at least that's what I thought. The restaurant was called Le Mémoire. Its entrance was understated, an old wooden door with no signage except for a small brass plaque. The moment I stepped inside, I felt like I had entered another world. Soft lighting, heavy wooden tables, a quiet, almost sacred atmosphere. There were only a handful of patrons, all sitting alone, eating in near silence. Behind the counter stood a man, tall, silver-haired, wearing a crisp chef's jacket. His eyes met mine the moment I walked in. "Welcome," he said, his voice deep and steady. I sat down at an empty table and reached for a menu. But when I opened it, the pages were blank. I frowned. There's no menu? The chef, still behind the counter, gave a slight shake of his head. The meal is chosen based on your memories. Before I could respond, he had already begun cooking. I didn't know what to expect, but when he placed the dish in front of me, a strange feeling washed over me. A bowl of steaming soup. It smelled familiar. The kind of familiar that tugs at something deep inside you. Something almost forgotten. I picked up the spoon and took a sip. The world blurred. Memories flooded back, like old film reels flickering to life. I was in a small apartment. A woman was cooking in the tiny kitchen, stirring a pot. "Welcome home," she said, smiling. "It's cold out today. I made your favorite." My mother's voice. But something was wrong. Her face. It was blurry, indistinct, like a photograph smudged by time. I tried to focus. And then, the memory shifted. I was somewhere else now. A rooftop. The cold wind pressed against me. My breath was shallow. My hands trembled. I looked down. The city lights stretched far below me, blurred and distant. I was standing on the edge. Someone was behind me. A voice spoke, low, emotionless. "You were never supposed to be here." The voice was mine. Before I could react, the ground disappeared beneath me. I was falling. The spoon slipped from my fingers, clattering against the table. My hands were shaking. The chef watched me carefully. "What did you remember?" he asked. I couldn't answer. I didn't want to, because I remembered everything now. I was already dead. I left the restaurant that night, but nothing felt real anymore. Since then, every time I look in a mirror, I see someone else staring back at me. The spectator you must not look at. I had always loved baseball. Growing up in Chicago, nothing beat the atmosphere of a packed stadium. The roar of the crowd, the crack of the bat, the smell of overpriced hot dogs. So when I landed a job as a cameraman for a local sports network, it felt like a dream come true. That dream soured the night I first heard about him. It was an evening game at Lincoln Stadium, home of the city's minor league team. I was setting up my camera when one of the veteran crew members, Dan, nudged me. "Hey, you ever hear about the Spectator?" he asked. I raised an eyebrow. "What Spectator?" Dan gestured toward the upper deck, section 323. There's always one guy sitting alone. Never moves, never reacts, and no matter what, don't make eye contact with him. I laughed. What, is he a ghost or something? Dan didn't laugh. He just gave me a hard look. Just don't. The game started, and for the first few innings, I was too focused on my work to think about it. But during the 7th inning stretch, curiosity got the best of me. I panned my camera up toward section 323, and I saw him. He sat alone, far from the rest of the crowd, a man in a faded gray hoodie, his face obscured by the shadows of his cap. His posture was stiff, unmoving, almost unnatural. No food, no drinks, no reaction to the game, just watching. I swallowed. The air around me felt colder. Then, just as I was about to look away, his head moved. Not much, just enough to suggest he knew I was watching. My stomach twisted. I ripped my eyes away and focused back on the field. After the game, I asked Dan about him again. "You looked, didn't you?" Dan muttered. I hesitated, then nodded. Dan sighed. "Don't go back to that section. And if you ever see him outside the stadium, run." "Wait, what do you mean?" Dan pulled out his phone and showed me a blurry screenshot from the stadium's double asterisk security footage. Double asterisk. It was from a game 2 months ago. A fan in the lower deck had disappeared after making eye contact with the man. The next day, he never showed up for work. His family filed a missing persons report. And then, a week later, he appeared in the stands, in section 323, sitting next to the man in the hoodie. I felt my blood go cold. That's a joke, right? Dan just shook his head. I told myself it was just a trick of the mind, some urban legend passed around by stadium workers. But then things started happening. 2 nights later, as I was heading home, I felt watched. It was late, the city quiet. I passed by a glass storefront, and for a split second, I saw my reflection. And behind me in the reflection, a figure in a gray hoodie. I spun around. No one was there. The next game, I refused to look at section 323. But the unease didn't fade. When I checked the Freightus security feed, I saw something that made my stomach drop. The man was there, sitting as always. But this time, there was an empty seat next to him, and the way his head was tilted slightly. It was like he was waiting for me. I quit my job the next day. I never went back to that stadium, but I still follow the team. And every time I catch a game on TV, I can't help myself. I scan the stands. And in section 323, there he is. Still sitting, still watching. And I swear, that empty seat next to him is getting closer. Yarajir, the immortal influencer. At first, she was just another rising star. Her name was Lena Park, a beauty and lifestyle influencer who had seemingly appeared out of nowhere. Within months, her follower count skyrocketed. 10 million, then 20, then 50 million. She was everywhere. Her content wasn't even that unique. Skincare routines, travel vlogs, aesthetic cafe tours. But there was something about her, something hypnotic. Every post felt perfect. Every video, effortless. Yet something was off. I noticed it first when I saw an old news article circulating on a conspiracy forum. The headline sent a chill down my spine. Lena Park, 22, dies in tragic accident, 2004. That couldn't be right. She was alive, streaming just last night. I clicked the article. A grainy photo showed a woman, identical to the Lena Park I'd been watching on Instagram. Same flawless skin, same signature dimples. The article detailed how she had died in a car crash 2 decades ago. My stomach twisted. If she had died in 2004, who was running her account now? I decided to dig deeper. I started by analyzing her Beachige followers. Most influencers had fake bot accounts mixed in with real people, but as I scrolled through her followers, something strange happened. I began recognizing names, not celebrities, not public figures, people who were dead. A girl from my high school who had drowned years ago, a distant relative who had passed away last year. Page after page, I saw usernames belonging to the deceased. My hands were sweating as I clicked on one of the accounts. It was active. Someone had been posting under their name, liking photos, leaving comments. I checked the timestamps. All of them had followed Lena's account after they had died. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something I was missing. Then, I noticed something terrifying. Lena's latest post had gone viral. It was a simple selfie, captioned, "Excited for what's next." At first, I didn't understand what was so special about it. Then someone in the comments pointed it out. Buried in the image's reflections, on the edge of a glossy cafe window, was a list, a blurred, handwritten list, usernames. People started zooming in, enhancing the image. The usernames were clear. And at the very bottom, in neat cursive handwriting, was a new one. Mine. I don't know what to do. I deleted my accounts, wiped my phone, and went completely offline. But every morning, when I wake up, somehow my phone is unlocked, and Lena Park's latest post is always on my screen. A new list, a new name at the bottom, and every person before me on that list, their accounts go home dark. Their names vanish. Their profiles turn into just another follower in her endless crowd. I don't know how much time I have left, but if you're reading this, check her latest post and pray your name isn't next.